3 weeks, 3 months in Mexico. So 3 weeks versus
Mexico.
3 months in Mexico. Welcome back, episode 14 to Mere Mortals. Juan, Kyrin, welcome to a new week. Almost the end of a year and almost the end of a decade.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
I've been seeing a couple of videos of people doing meme of the decade or
Meme of the decade.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy, eh?
It goes quick.
It goes quick.
I don't know if I've shown you, but I've got a couple of pictures from 2011. So looking back at like a decade look, and it's pretty cool. Yeah,
nice.
I'm actually thinking of doing a post sometime in the next week, probably, of what I looked like 10 years ago as compared to now, which actually isn't that crazy different. I mean, who knows if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
So you'd be 17. So
but it's been interesting. Now today,
cool.
So 3 weeks versus 3 months in Mexico.
But we're going to use Mexico because
it's probably the Australian
the gringo way.
So. Yeah, the gringo way. Now, before we get into it, obviously, as we always do, mere mortal moments.
Yep.
Kyrin?
I've got mine.
Ooh. Sorry, before we get into it though, sponsored today by Legend.
Thanks, Legend.
Legend.
So my mere mortal moment is I caught myself lying, and this was, as we know, I don't like to do that. I'm really trying to avoid doing that. But this was one of those ones where it was like I really had to think about it. I was getting a present for my girlfriend, and we're playing that game where they're like, "Oh, is it this? Is it this?" And it was it. It was what she guessed, but I was like, "Oh, no, I'm never going to get you that because I disagree with that. It's stupid." But obviously, I'm playing around. No one's getting hurt by that lie. But still, to me, it sort of feels like that's where it's getting down into the ethical realm of like, could I have played that in a better way where I didn't have to directly lie? So it's not like the act of it was doing something bad.
Yeah.
But, could I have played it off a different way? Either not answered the question, diverted it, or, asked her back like, oh, you'd want it to be that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I guess you could have answered it in like, well, it could be, but it also couldn't be.
Yeah.
So you'll never know.
Yeah.
So you're kind of not really lying. You just kind of,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, once again, this was not a big deal, but it was one of those moments where I was like, you know what? I think I can do a bit better than that in the future. And I suppose reaffirm my commitment to really trying to cut out lying. And this is a test, I guess, as well, because I'm not fully 100% convinced this is the way to go and it's going to improve my life.
Yeah.
But I have noticed improvement so far by trying to cut out as much as possible.
Good.
So
okay.
That was my moment, and could entail future problems. Say I have kids and they're asking, "Oh, is Santa real?" I'm gonna have to figure that out in the future.
5-year-old baby Kyrin asking if Santa's real, and you'd be like, "Oh, by the way, Santa is real." If there's 5-year-olds listening to it, he is real. I got 2 mere mortal moments actually. One I actually wrote down and remembered. Another one just off the top of my head though. Yep. One is knee flared up, but it is getting better. However, looking at the points right here, I have got a challenge to do 45 pull-ups in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I hadn't done the challenge for a little while. I've been practicing the pull-ups and I thought, I'm ready to go. I'm going to hit it this week.
Yeah.
Not only did I not get close, I barely hit 30s. and 30s is like for us a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
Could barely get 32, I think it was. And I was like,
that's nothing.
What is this?
That's pretty.
And I've got a goal of getting 55 pull-ups in 3 minutes. So I am so far off there. Just ridiculous.
Only halfway there.
Yeah. So, and the other one now actually that we were just talking just completely escaped me. So, but there was something else in there as well.
I can tell you what it is. You ran on your dodgy knee. Literally, you're at the gym. Half an hour before he does this? It's like, oh yeah, my knee's, it's still getting some fluids. I'm gonna still let it rest. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. You should do that. I reckon I need to listen to an injury prevention podcast. Episode 11, I believe. I think it was 10 maybe.
No, 10 was truth.
Oh.
Anyways,
I can tell you.
Let's get into it.
It's 12.
Mexico. 3 weeks versus 3 months. So to give a bit of context, we both obviously spent at the same time there for 3 weeks in a particular area. You were traveling through South America and you were actually there ultimately for 3 months.
Yeah.
But let's set the scene. I want to give you a couple of little things. We don't have a definition about Mexico, but I can tell you a couple of things. Did you know it is the 10th most populous country in the world? I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, no, I would have guessed that it would have maybe been a little bit less.
But it is the most populous Spanish-speaking country in the world.
Okay, didn't know that.
So that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
They celebrate the dead, essentially like a Halloween sort of thing. It's on the 1st of November every year, and you went to it.
Yep.
So I'd probably want to hear a little bit of stories around that. Another one, Plaza de Toro, the biggest bullfighting ring on the planet. Oh. Apparently it seats 50,000 people.
That's a lot of
That's
people.
a huge place. And also tequila. It's one of the most well-known drinks.
Everyone knows about that.
It comes from Mexico.
Yeah.
So I want to set the scene. If people don't know about Mexico, those are some of the things.
Here's one I learnt while I was there. It's actually the United States of Mexico.
It is. It's actually part of the United States.
No, that's wrong.
Oh, it isn't. Okay. It's the United States of Mexico.
Yeah, so they're actually a confederation of states, like very similar model to the US. But it's not called Mexico properly. It should be called the United States of Mexico.
Because of the Confederate nature of it.
I guess I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. No. Well, let's get right into it. I don't know where we want to begin here because you've got a lot more information. I think we go, why were we there in the first place? I know you've talked a little bit about South America.
Yep.
Let's talk about those 3 months for you.
Yep. So, and for me, it was about 3 months into my journey as well. So I'd gone through Chile for a month, 2 months in Argentina, and I think it was about 1.5 months into that combined period, I went, it's fucking cold here. It's really cold. This is me showing my stupidity because I knew I was going to South America. I knew I was going in winter.
Yep.
But it's South America. Who would have thought it'd be cold? While also knowing that Argentina is the closest place to Antarctica, the bottom tip of Argentina.
Yep.
So, needless to say, I got there, one jumper, which I even was debating bringing.
Yep.
I had a pair of jeans and a pair of chinos, and those chinos, man, I was like, oh, do I really need these? Yes, I did. So I got there super cold, and after a month and a half, I'm like, no, I can't stay here. Like, my plan was to travel up, but I'd still be going through the winter in places. So I was like, nah.
That's it. I'm sorry.
I need to get out of here. So we were also talking before my trip. We were like, oh, we should catch up sometime. That'd be super cool.
Yep.
And so we just got to talking, and it's like, where's a cool place to fly? Oh, let's go to Mexico.
Mexico.
So that is what we did. So I flew in a couple of days before you and sort of got a feel of...
And we flew into Mexico, but you flew in directly. So you went to...
I mean, my flight plan was stupid. Went to Santiago to Panama to Cancun.
Yep.
So went from absolute like freezing 5 degrees during the day in Argentina to landing, and it would be like 30, 34 degrees, bright sunshine.
Balmy weather.
Cancun.
Nice and warm. So I think that's where the 3 weeks comes from. So we spent those 3 weeks, myself, Kyrin, and Joey as well, if you can remember from episode 5 of our podcast. And we had a good time over 3 weeks. The plan was be at the beach, have a good time.
Fiesta.
We think fiesta, party.
Yep.
In Cancun, which you would entail.
Yep. Let's get this off the bat. It was not during the spring break period.
Correct. Yep.
So it was a bit of like a lull time there. And it was also in a time where they had a lot of sargassum, which is
Sagrada. Sagrada as well.
They were calling it sargassum.
Sargassum?
Yeah. Sargassum.
Okay.
Like
that. It's essentially overload of seaweed.
Yep. So the beaches had like just these, I guess, what would you call it, like 20 meters maybe of seaweed just coming in and hitting the beaches and piling up. So I think it had a hit of like 30-40% to the tourist numbers of people coming there. So
there was 30-40% of
less people
10% being killed. It ends up being 50% of people walking around. Damn.
Exactly. Damn.
Okay, so there was a little bit of that when we got to Cancun. So I reckon we go, let's split it. I want to talk about the 3 months before we sort of dial into the 3 weeks. So let's go. What were your 3 months like in Mexico? Obviously there was a party bit, and that's fine. There was party. Let's just generalize on that. What were the rest of your trip like in Mexico? So, show us a little picture.
Okay, so this is Mexico. Like that.
Brilliant.
And then
for people who can't see the video, essentially it's just a worm with a big mouth at the end.
It sort of looks like an inverted 3 on a horizontal, like a diagonal angle.
I love that you said inverted 3, not a W.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anywho, so Cancun is on the easternmost side. And that's where we spent our 3 weeks between there and Playa del Carmen. And then I essentially did a big loop up and then came through it's really hard to describe. I've always struggled with this. If you imagine, let's just say Mexico was a U shape. I was on the right-hand side of the U, and I essentially came down and came up into the middle half of the other side of the U. And Mexico City is right around in here.
The middle area.
Yeah. So I basically did a bunch of like couple of beach towns along here, hit an inland place here, another beach town here, and then went up through the middle. What I experienced there was...
First of all, sorry, how did you travel between places?
Yeah, so everything is buses. You can fly, but buses are the, I suppose, most easiest, convenient. Yep. They're not bad. They're pretty decent ones. You can find ones, I think, if you search hard enough, that have like the laid back sort of semi-cama, so like half a bed. Buses.
Yep.
This was during a point when I realized I really disliked being in a bus for like more than 5 hours. And so I intentionally stopped in a lot of places along the way.
That were just like at the 5 hours sort of portion.
So this was, I suppose, the most rapid part of my travel, where I'd go stay in a place for a couple of places. I stayed 1 day, 2 days.
Yep.
But I still tried to maintain my, like, I guess, stay 5-6 days in a place, get a feel for it. If I like, stay a bit longer. I'm just going to go a couple of top places.
Yep.
So, and I'll just go on order of how I hit them.
Yep.
So I went up to the sort of northernmost east section, where they've got a little island there called Holbox.
Oh yeah, Holbox. Which you went directly after our 3 week sort of break.
Yep. So I went up there, and that was like me chilling out from like 3 weeks of partying, essentially. And that had the most amazing sunsets I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Just the vivid colors, everything changing so rapidly, and blew me away.
Good. Okay.
Blew me away.
So recommendation of people, go and see the sunset in Holbox.
Yep. And yeah, just had a really chilled out vibe. Tiny town, I think, just dirt roads, maybe a population of 300 people, something like that.
Oh yeah.
So
okay. Wow.
When you're there, it's like 300 locals and then like 300 tourists, something like that. So yeah, it's got like that good mix between like a little bit of a party vibe as well, but also chilled out and stunning beaches.
Yep.
Valladolid, which is, I guess, in the middle section, and it is, I don't know, I noted here, like, it felt like authentic Mexico. There's a couple of moments there where I rented a bike and I went on my own to a agave factory, which is very similar to tequila.
Agave, yeah.
And I'm just traveling along, and to get there, I actually had to cycle on the side of a highway. So I had cars and trucks going by me at like 100 k's an hour, and me just on my crappy like hostel bike, pedaling my heart out in this like 35 degree heat or whatever. Arrived totally drenched. I'm the only one, and so like this girl takes me through an agave thing, and they have some samples at the end, and she gives me like essentially 5 shots of different agaves. And I'm thinking, like, I have to ride back along the side of a highway after taking 5 shots. Do I want to do that? Yes. So I took 2.5 shots.
Okay, nice.
And I tried the other ones, but I was like, no, I'm not going to fully drink this. But it was like those experiences where I got a bike another day and went to a cenote, which is like an underground water pool, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's like an underground cave.
Yeah, so like
space.
Mexico has a lot of subsidence in of like the rock and upper section of the land.
Yep.
And they've just got like these. Their groundwater is quite high, I think, in a lot of these areas. So they've just got these crystal clear waters where you might have some bats and stuff flying in, but the light comes in directly through the opening.
Yep.
So you can just go in there and swim, and they're stunning, really, really stunning. So that was really cool, and that's really close to Chichen Itza as well.
Oh, yep.
Which is
the pyramid.
The famous,
Was it worth it? Was the pyramid worth it?
Yes, but that was because I arrived intentionally before the tourist, like the main tourist section.
Okay.
So
you got there pretty early.
I got there at 8 a.m. is when they opened the doors, so not like super early, but before most people came, I was one of the first in. So I got out on my own for a little bit, and then 2 hours later, it was just
packed.
Campeche, which is on the, I guess, western side of the right-hand side of the U, so over in here. And that was probably one of my favorite places because it was really untouched as well. If you've ever been to Cartagena in Colombia, which is one of those old Spanish-styled walled cities, which they built to protect against pirates, it's like that, but there was 2 hostels, and I was one of the only people there.
In the hostel?
I slept in a 14-bed dorm where it was only me for a couple of nights, which was super cool.
That's awesome.
And that is where you can get to a lot of the other ruins as well, the less famous but equally impressive.
That's good.
And get them to yourselves. That was... I
that's
feel
really
Mexico
cool. Okay.
has like a lot of...
untouched sort of places?
real untouched places. And there's a reason why, which I'll get into later, why I feel like there's a lot of places that are real authentic.
Yep.
San Cristobal de las Casas, that's out in the mountains, had some of the most impressive markets I've seen, like just these varied fruits, vegetables,
so food-wise.
Yeah. Very, very cool. There was also some really weird stuff there, like a church which was like a mix between like the Christianity and Catholics when they came and the indigenous religion. And so you can go into this church. It's so bizarre. You go into this church and it's like, from the outside, it looks like just a tiny Catholic church.
Yep.
And you go inside and it's all like pine needles on the floor, thousands of like mini candles on the walls and on the floor next to the very flammable pine. And like just some...
Safety?
Yeah, just some murals of the saints and like Mary, Joseph and whatnot on the walls. But then they've got these like just absolutely bizarre things where they believe if you drink like gaseosas, so soft drinks, and you burp, you're like burping out the demons. So you're in this church and you see like kids and adults and stuff swigging down some Coke, swigging down some Pepsi, maybe a little bit of Sprite.
Oh, yeah, mixing it up.
Depends what time demon you've got inhabiting you.
And then they just start burping all over the place.
Yeah, and then they start burping. And then if things are like, so that's just to get rid of some demons in yourself. If there's demons in other people and you need to like exorcise them or get rid of them, and the burping's not working, you take it to the next level.
You take it to the next level. What's the next level?
Sacrifice.
Oh, so sacrifice the Coke?
No. You sacrifice a rooster.
Dang.
So they've got...
Not vegan friendly at all.
No. I don't even know what they do with it afterwards. I didn't get to see the aftermath.
Okay, so tell me the pre-math. What actually happens?
You go in there and you'll see like people, they've put out their candles and their soft drinks and stuff. And then they'll have like a couple of shamans, which are... The ones I saw were ladies, and so they had like basically indigenous ladies, their hair tied up in a particular manner.
Yep.
Very like extravagant garbs and stuff. And yeah, it's just so bizarre because you can go in and see this stuff. And so I was there standing this distance away from a lady sitting there with there was a family around her, and she was dressed up in her clothes and stuff. And she's praying, doing her thing, and then she's got like a little bag next to her. And then she opens the bag and there's a rooster in there. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Here we go.
Oh, shit.
Here we go. The Coke's not working.
I'd heard about this before. And so she's like sitting there and then she's like patting it and stuff. And then just super quick grabs it and just breaks its neck. And there's like me.
Kyrin's like, look.
Just looking.
Kyrin's just like, oh,
yeah.
The chicken's gone. Okay.
And then I think, if that doesn't work, maybe they get the tourists and
crack the next to.
Yeah. Tourist disappears every now and then.
Well, it's surprising to see like, it's a little bit more rural Mexico. I guess it's a little bit more, the local townships, and they still, practice these things, and it still means a lot to them. Yeah. Okay.
But they have like, this, I guess, agreement that the tourists can come in and see this stuff as well. So you get like this weird mix of Mexico seems to have this weird mix of things a lot of the time. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it is brutal, but it's also like it's a thing. It's a culture that they have there in that particular area.
Yeah. Oh, and it's fascinating. Like you go there, and it's just like, how did this develop?
Yeah.
What went on here so that it's still current to this day?
Okay. Yeah.
San Jose del Pacifico, and this is my, I suppose, number one pick.
Oh, okay.
My like peak experience in Mexico was this place. It's called Mushroom Mountain as well.
Ooh,
and so it's basically between Puerto Escondido, which has like a lot of the big wave surfers and things like that. That's on the southernmost point, I guess, of Mexico.
Yeah.
And in between there and Oaxaca, which is another very famous city, especially for Day of the Dead, which you've already talked about.
Yep.
And you have to go a little bit out of your way, but it's essentially up in the mountains. This was where I got my first experience of one of those car rides that just absolutely scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
The ones you hear about of people being like, I legit thought I was going to die.
That's what it was like?
Just, I was in this van and it was raining. We're going up. It's super misty, and this guy's just flooring it. I was so glad we were going uphill, not downhill.
Yeah.
Because that would have just been terrible. So
was there more people as well in the van with you?
There was, but they were locals. So they were like, you'd like stop in the middle of like the road, I guess, and then just let some people out. And at least it was 2 lanes, so one going and one coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, still just like, I don't need to do
hard
that
in your mouth, kind of like, oh, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, okay.
Yep. And the views at this place are absolutely stunning. You can choose to take mushrooms there as well if you want. So the psychedelic kind. And
is that why they call it Mushroom Mountain?
I think so, yeah, because it seems to
naturally growing.
You can go to a hostel. I went to a hostel there, which it sort of looks like one of those favelas in Rio, where it's just, no one's planned it, so people are just building shit on top of building shit.
Yep.
So there was one point where I wanted to go to the bathroom, and I had to go down like 3 flights of stairs in different directions to get to this thing that was like literally just beneath me. It made no sense. And just really, really cool experience there. Oaxaca, I mentioned like that before, just stunning city. Those like colonial paved roads, super big, but it's also got like that mix of a lot of stuff to do around there. There's a calcified waterfall. So
a calcified waterfall.
Yeah, so there's a waterfall there which has a lot of minerals in it, and essentially it's like a hot spring that bubbles up, and it's falling down like the side of this hill, and over the generations, millennia, it's just the minerals have sort of stuck to the side of the hill.
Yeah.
So you can go there and look, and it's essentially looks like a waterfall, but it's not moving because there's not that much water. It's just like some little hot springs. But they're bringing stuff up, and so it's just like this white patch on the side of a big hill.
Wow. Okay. That's
very cool. Very cool. And Puebla, I wouldn't say there was anything particularly special about Puebla, apart from the food. That was where I had
good food.
The best food. Mexico City is very cool as well. Just super big place. That's where you can see like a lot of the rich Mexicans as well, I guess.
In the main city.
Yeah, in the main city center. I've never seen the most varied amount of dog varieties in like a single park. There was people walking with Dalmatians, Huskies, like you name
all
a dog,
types. Okay,
and you'd see it there. So that was like, I don't know. I seem to equate like wealth and richness now with like
the variety of dogs that you see at the park.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably a good statistical
that might be a good indication. Yeah.
So that was like, I guess, my trip up and through. I did a little bit of zigzagging because I wanted to go back to Oaxaca for Day of the Dead.
Yep.
And then I had to fly out of Mexico City to get to Guatemala. That was essentially my trip.
Do you think that 3 months was enough to see all of that?
That was a good amount of time to see what I saw, but I only saw half of Mexico, so I didn't see.
Yeah, you only saw from the east to the center, pretty much. Yeah. You didn't see the rest of Mexico.
Yeah, so I think like the northern sections, that's where it's a bit more dangerous because you have the cartels, especially in like with the border with the states. There's some places there where it's like,
and essentially where people know like Tijuana is at the top in the northern section. Although in saying that, in our 3 weeks, there was a lot of cartel influence and activity in Cancun. And we're not saying that. It was actually interesting because I know we've talked about this, that in your time in the 3 months traveling, you actually found it a little bit safer in those smaller cities and those other places. Yeah. Which I wouldn't have thought that. I thought it'd be a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre because I'll get to one of my first observation, I suppose, of my whole trip. Corruption is rampant there. Like, it is everywhere. but the worst of it's done by the police. And that's really hard to get your head around sometimes because...
We have a cracking story about that one.
Yeah.
That's to come.
But yeah, the amount of stories I heard from just random people, other travelers, was like it's the police you got to look out for because they're the ones who are going to really shake you down.
Yeah.
The cartels and stuff, they're obviously not good. And if you're in a dangerous area and they see your white skin, you better look out because you should not be there.
Yeah.
But like the people themselves, there was, I suppose, I found it even worse in like a lower level of trust in, say, Argentina between me as a vendor buying stuff like in a market, because there it was like literally I had to give them the money before they would hand over the goods.
The goods, yeah.
Whereas in Mexico, it was sort of like, you're looking for money, they'll hand it to you, you hand it at the same time or like a little bit afterwards or something. Yeah. But yeah, the police there were really terrible.
Okay, so that's probably one tip, just watch out for the police there. Okay?
Yeah.
If you are inclined to go through a lot of these places.
Yeah, I feel a guy who really captured it. I listened to a podcast of Ian Grillo on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yep.
And he talks about, he was a journalist and he spent a lot of time doing stories particularly on the cartels and going to some of the places where they, murder whole families or and he covers like the interactions between the police and the cartels. And he pretty much nailed it from what my experience of what Mexico was like.
Interesting.
The scenery there, super varied. So you can have the deserts, beaches, jungles, mountains, whatever you want. Like there was just some stunning places. I enjoyed the bus rides because you would go and you could see
a lot of things.
I saw this massive gorge just like filled with cacti everywhere. And it was just stunning, man. That was like one of my favorite parts, just looking out going like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like what is this? Cool. Yeah, just very random. Who would you suggest to do with 3 months through Mexico? Like who would be the type of people who would really enjoy it? Like are you saying
crazy people?
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone I met there was like the most interesting person.
Okay.
My whole trip, some of the best friendships I had were there and definitely the most interesting people.
Okay.
I met this British guy who like the very first thing, he was British but he had like a sort of Vietnamese look. Like he was maybe half Vietnamese, half British or something. But a very thick British accent.
Yeah.
And he was in like Puerto Escondido. He's got like this thick black laptop and he's doing stuff on it. And like one of the very first things he's saying is like, oh man, have you checked out the dark web? Like you can buy all sorts of stuff here. He's showing me like how you can buy guns and cocaine and whatnot. It's just like, oh, nice to meet you, man.
Very welcome.
I saw him a couple of times and oh man, he couldn't shut up as well. Just
talkative mate. Okay.
Some really interesting Australians there as well.
Yep.
One guy, Tom in particular, who was like, he was a coke fiend, but it was super funny as well. Just like he was always sticking out his tongue and like just making stupid jokes. But I suppose like the people I met there were just more like people who had something in them where it was like you could see there was something a little bit off but in a cool way. So people who would go and be like, there was a girl I met, an American one who went there and she literally like had something slightly bad go wrong in her life in the US and she's like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to come to Mexico and be like a transfer student for like a year.
Forever.
In Palenque, which is in the jungle and like, wow. Like, what is... I don't know. But the people, I loved it. I loved the people there. They were so funny and interesting.
It sounds to me though that it wouldn't be the greatest place to take, say, a family with 2 kids.
No.
It kind of sounds like maybe a couple or just as an individual, 3 months.
Yeah,
go through Mexico.
If you're going that long, and it's so big as well, so you'd have to be prepared to drive a lot or travel a lot. And if you're in a car and driving, that's where I've heard you can get into some sticky situations as well. So
yeah, okay.
You'd probably want to be one of those people who's like a little bit risk taking.
Okay.
You'd have to handle a higher level of risk than you would say coming to Australia, going to Europe.
Yeah, okay. It is a little, you got to be watching out for that. In those 3 months though, I guess a question for you is, what was the place that you were like, oh, I really didn't need to come here? Was there a place that was just not needed to go to?
Yeah. So we went to Playa del Carmen. There was a place called Ciudad del Carmen, which was basically directly west of it, but on the like opposite side of the oceans. I'm not sure what the oceans are in there. It was just for me to break up one of those long trips.
Yep.
So I think I either had a 10-hour bus ride or 2 5-hours. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this one.
2.5 hours, yeah.
No hostels, no nothing there. I had to get a hotel and just
nothing.
A rough place, man. It was like, it used to be an oil industry point, but that had gone down. So the people there were like a little bit living in like, their living standards were getting even less, which is saying something considering it's Mexico. And I just got the feeling there where it was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't be here.
Shouldn't be here, okay.
Yeah.
So point, don't go to see that.
Del Carmen. Yeah, I mean, it was good as well. I'm glad I went and saw it, but...
Well, you can tell the story, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
Don't suggest for people to just go down there to have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unexpected experiences as well. So, in Merida, it's like their own version of the Champs-Élysées. So that really big road in Paris.
Roundabout in Paris.
Is it a roundabout or a road?
Champs-Élysées is, it's a road. It is a road in France, Paris, and there's the Arc de Triomphe with the roundabout.
Yeah, okay. So I'm talking mostly about the road bit of it, which is just lanes upon lanes upon lanes.
I think it's an 8-lane. I haven't actually been to Paris, but I think it's an 8-lane road.
Yeah. Very similar thing. It's like their version of it. I think the same architect that designed this place in Mexico. And it's just
chaotic.
It's really cool because they close it down in the evenings.
So you can just go walking on there.
Yeah, so there's people like you can rent bikes and go along this whole massive road, and they have markets and not markets, like those little stalls and whatnot. Just super interesting. And I went to in Mexico City, like when I went there. At the same time, they had Ultra Music Festival. So
which you ended up going to?
Yeah. So I went to that, and it was just electronic dance music festival.
Did you end up going with people, or were you on your own?
No, I definitely went with people.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I met some people in the hostel, and then it was like
sort of last minute. Time.
Oh, let's do it. Yeah. Before and after, I feel this is actually one of the highlights of my trip in the sense that before Mexico, I was probably like, I don't know, maybe not a little bit confident. I wouldn't have said I was like a seasoned traveler or had done that many things, seen that many things. But after Mexico, I felt like...
More seasoned.
Yeah, I felt like I could have... If something happened and I had to come back to Australia, I wouldn't have felt like, my journey had been cut short. Yeah. It would have been
you went through a lot.
Yeah, I saw a lot, experienced a lot.
Do you have any stats on how many places you visited in Mexico? Like, would you have a top of your head? Would it be more than 10?
Yeah, it'd be more than 10.
Okay.
Yeah, probably like 12-ish.
Yeah,
12, 13.
That's a lot of places. Yeah. That's a lot. Like, you probably saw a lot of Mexico. Yeah. A lot of, like, the different sides of Mexico. And even though you didn't see the northern portion of it, I think you got a good experience of what Mexico is really like.
I suppose so, yeah. But, not confident enough to generalize about whole sections there of things. But, I saw a lot of stuff. Day of the Dead as well was super cool experience.
What was it like? So essentially, Day of the Dead, they celebrate the dead.
Yeah. So it's just so bizarre because it's, I guess, very different to our way of mourning or how you would conduct like a funeral or show your respect.
Yeah.
I went to one of the biggest cemeteries there.
Yeah.
And on that night, and everyone floods in, and they've got like the cemetery itself, and then there's a sort of like side street, which once again it's become like a market. So there's people selling food, alcohol. Everyone's walking around with alcohol, drinking. Some people are like celebrating, like they've got pictures of their loved one or whatnot, and they're just having like a party there.
Yeah,
and then right next to them, it'll be like a full family like crying and being super respectful. So it was
okay. So it's a really polarity. Good, like difference between that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I went to another cemetery closer to Oaxaca City during the day. And just had like this real serene, nice atmosphere. And there was like a mariachi band playing and just playing this beautiful music. It was just like one of those moments that sort of just captures
what the day would be like.
It's sort of like it captures you in the moment. You're like, oh, this is something special.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of times in Mexico of that.
That was like that.
Something just captures me and it's like, this is something unique.
Okay. Oh, very interesting. Well, there you go. That's really that's 3 months.
So that's 3 months in Mexico.
That's what 3 months is like in Mexico.
Yeah.
In a generalistic sense.
Yep. But let's go into your experience as well.
Let's go into what 3 weeks in Mexico is like. But we're going to pinpoint it all the way through to that east corner.
Yep.
That is Cancun and Playa del Carmen.
Yep.
So I guess our plan went a little bit we didn't have a plan on where we were fully staying. We kind of knew that we were going to be in Cancun. We were going to be in Playa del Carmen. Yep. We thought we were going to be staying in Cancun for a lot longer than we were, and then go down to Playa del Carmen and check it out.
Yep.
One of the things, so I guess our trip, just to quickly tell people, I guess we were planning on being in Cancun, I think, for like a week, down in Playa del Carmen for a couple of days, and then back up to Cancun for the rest of our trip, and see a little bit of places around the place. We're thinking about cenotes, a couple of the islands, seeing how it goes. That changed. Our plan changed. And I don't know how we want to get through and talking to the rest of it, but I'll tell my experience. Cancun, didn't really enjoy it. Yep. It wasn't an enjoyable place. So apart from going there in spring break and purely partying, on the off season, was essentially it's just when it's not spring break. Yep. And I think the seaweed invasion that they had in the beach sort of like combined to give you the fact that Cancun, in essence of its party, is just a 200-meter strip of road with a couple of hotels around the place, with a couple of clubs, and that is it.
Yeah, it's not like it has natural draws to it.
No.
Beaches are pretty, but same as like Australian beaches. Yeah, I guess, or they're different, but
it wasn't the particularly the Cancun beaches wasn't anything special.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Around that area, there's not particularly ruins that you can go to. There might be some cenotes close to Cancun, but I don't think in general that there are. There's not, and the city itself, because it's so weird, because they've got the, I guess, little peninsula that comes off.
Yeah, where the Cancun party area is, essentially.
And that's where all the hotels you hear about, like the all-inclusive, drink as much as you want, eat as much as you want, party sort of thing, all-day parties. And then there's the, I guess, like the city bit where all the workers who work in these hotels live. And that's where it's like, I guess, just a lot more poorer, just single houses, not dirt roads, but unpaved roads.
Unpaved roads, yeah. There's a lot more rural. If people, when they think of Cancun, they think of the beaches and the party area and that.
Yeah.
It is like that in a very small corner.
Yeah.
But legitimately 1 kilometer into the main city, it is very rural. It's not what you'd expect at all of Cancun, and what we thought it was going to be as well.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit of description of it as well. At nighttime, Cancun is nice. It's got its clubs. They are expensive.
Yeah.
They are a little bit unsafe. I had some great times there, though. We played tennis, invisible tennis in the middle of the street with our friend Joey.
Yeah.
That was great fun. That was good.
And see, that was interesting because we were sort of forced to make our own fun.
Yeah, we were forced to make our own fun. So it wasn't a place like you could really... I guess you could be involved in it and just have fun, but we were really having to push to make our own fun when we were there.
Yeah. So whether that's a result of, that not that many people being there, so things being a little bit less active... I feel it was a lot due to the layout and their lack of, I guess, bars in the sense that we imagine them. So
so they don't have bars as per se. It's just clubs. Yeah. So what was the Frogs place called?
Senor
Frogs and a couple of other La Vaquita. There's a couple of clubs that they have, which are the main ones.
Yeah.
And that's in essence it. And they're all packed together. So apart from that, there's not a place you can go that's kind of a little bit like a bar and a bit of a club. No, that doesn't exist. It's just those clubs, and that's it.
Yeah, so when we're talking about that as well, we're imagining maybe like the bar section and stools where you can sit at the bar and sort of like drink there.
Yeah.
Tables put out maybe so that you can sit, have drinks there. No, it was more like restaurants. Or bar or clubs.
And again, we were there in off season, and that's fine. But we had to make our own. I guess one example is we went to Senor Frogs to one night where we thought it was going to be a little bit busy. It was quiet. We had to make our own fun. We were playing around with balloons and getting people to dance and play limbo with us and doing dancing just on the stage, pretty much on our own.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of. If you think of Cancun and you think it'll be like great fun, I think you got to time it very right.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can't get away from the fact of why we left early Cancun. Because the plan was to stay there for a week.
Yeah.
And then we go to Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Playa del Carmen separately, and we'll get into that later, and then what the highlights are. But there's a great, fantastic story to share in Cancun. And it centers around the man in front of me, Kyrin Michael Down.
The one and only.
The one and only. And I'm going to separate this as a separate video so people can listen to it as a separate thing. And it is I'm not going to call it that. I'm going to call it How I Got Stuck in Mexican Jail for 24 Hours. That is what's going to be the title of that. Now, to preface it, I'm going to tell a little bit of the story of how that began.
Okay, sounds good.
And then I want to hear your point of view, because obviously you've got the full intent of the story.
And there's a couple of versions of this same story, because there was 3 of us there, so we've got like three. So
I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it to a point in time for me about what happened, how it went down, I guess, and just to give you an idea, like this is Cancun and this sort of stuff happens, and we had 3 guys who are all able-bodied.
Yeah,
and this sort of things happen.
And relatively cautious as well. We knew about the dangers, and we had seen. I particularly had seen some stuff in Chile and Argentina to like warn me, like, okay, bad stuff can happen here. So exactly. It's not like we're pulling the stupid gringo stuff of like walking around with your wallet out, looking, how much money do I have in my wallet? That's
we were trying to keep as safe as possible.
Yeah.
But to give you an idea, so let me preface it. We went to I can't even remember what the club was now anymore.
It wasn't Coco Bongo, because that's the main. I think it was like Congo or Bongo Bar or something like that.
So we went to a Bongo Bar, and in essence, we got a package that particular night. We were now it was the second night in Mexico, in Cancun, and we thought, let's go and have a good time.
Yeah.
We'll go to the club, we'll have a couple of drinks, it'll be great fun. And it began that way. We got in, all 3 of us, we got a package where it was kind of all you can drink, because the cost of entry and the cost of going in is very close together. So alcohol in Mexico is quite cheap.
So it was $25 US for entry and $30 US for
all you
entry
can drink.
And all you can drink.
So, you're going to go with the all you can drink. That's a given.
Yeah.
So we went in there. Now, also remember that in Mexico, it is customary to tip.
Yeah.
Now, we get in there. It wasn't too busy at the start. We started having quite a lot of drinks, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
We're having a great time. We're limboing. I got myself up on the stage.
Yeah.
I was doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. They pulled out the balloons, so we're sword fighting.
Everything was happening. I was having a good time.
And it's one of those places. It was an open club. So if you imagine like a street corner, it's like the whole club's on that, and it's got two walls at the back, but the 2 facing the street.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. So you can look in and you can see like different tiers of like dance floors, girls dancing on poles, laser lights, balloons,
all the whole thing. It was a great club. We were all having fun.
Yeah.
But then there came a moment when we just had drinks. We're all having drinks, and then I'll fast forward. I wake up. It's the next day. I'm in my bed in our Airbnb in Cancun.
Yeah.
I thought, what a fantastic night. I can't even remember getting home. Fantastic. I look out the door of the room that I'm in. I'm like, oh, well, I'm at least in like PJs. Got some stuff on.
Yeah.
I look at Joey, what a great night. Fantastic. How do we get home? Where's Kyrin? Joey looks at me, dead in the eyes, looks at me. I don't know where Kyrin is.
Yeah.
At this point, I thought, well, perhaps, he was late, he's out somewhere, maybe
he's hungry, he's gone out for a bit of
some food or something. And this is where we get to the real story, the true story, the fun story. Kyrin Down, take it away. Yeah. What can you remember, and how did it go down?
So, very similar story to you. Exactly similar, in fact, up until... so we went in, we're having drinks. And so what they do is they put the drinks on the bar for you pre-made. So you just go up and grab one. So it's not like you're ordering, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Music's so loud, it'd be impossible to do that anyway. So there's just plastic cups, and they fill it with like a mix of tequila and lemonade, something like that. So, very similar. Having drinks, having fun. Juan's dancing on the stage. I'm doing limbo. Great time.
Yep.
I had a very similar experience. I wake up and I'm like, wow, what a great night. That was fun. What can I remember of it? I can remember up to this point.
Yep.
And then my memory turned into like some 2-second snippets.
Yep.
And so I feel these are reasonably accurate because I told this to you afterwards, and I've been telling it to other people during my trip.
Yep.
And I feel I've like pretty much nailed down
what sort of happened in those
what
snippets.
I remember and what I I might have been making up or exaggerating. So without exaggerations, I remember walking out of the club. So there's like a 2-second snippet, me walking out of the club onto the street on my own. This is not an unusual thing, because a lot of times if I'm out with you guys and I get bored, you guys want to stay out longer, I'm just like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to leave. I couldn't be asked, and I won't even tell you. So sometimes I'll do that.
Yep.
I remember being on, I'm not sure if it was on like a street bench or on the curb. I was definitely sitting down there and just had like my hands in my knees, just going, oh my God. So just hands like massaging my face, just thinking like, oh man, I'm not in a good way.
Yep.
Next one was me in the back of a car, and there's just 2 big guys going next to me, going through my pockets and just like feeling stuff out.
Yep.
And then I wake up and I'm in a room, you know, standard sized bedroom, I guess, maybe a little bit elongated compared to that. And I wake up and I sort of like stretch up, look up, and I'm on a, you know, tiny wooden bench. On the other side of the bench, there's 5-6 people. Next to me, there's another 3 or 4 people. And I can see, look to my right, and there's jail bars there. Look to my left, and there's just like a little wall, and you can go behind it, and there's one of the most disgusting urinals I've ever seen in my life. And so I wake up there, and it's just like, oh shit, what happened?
Welcome to Cancun jail.
Exactly. So,
and I'll just take it back a little bit. So, it wasn't the fact that we were drunk.
No.
It wasn't the fact that we were drunk. And so this is one of the things about Cancun that people should know about, is that it is a dangerous place and you have to be wary of it.
Yeah.
And even though we were wary, we looked after each other, we were trying to be as safe as possible, we still all got roofied.
Yeah.
My saving grace in all of this was that our friend Joey spotted that we had.
Yeah.
And we had gone down too far and actually drinking our own drinks.
Yeah.
And he was able to take me home.
He noticed on his, and this is why we're reasonably confident. This is what happened. He said he spotted on his in his glass on top of his ice, he described it like a small plastic tea bag, like a clear tea bag. That was just sitting on top of his ice.
Yep.
And so that's when he stopped drinking.
Yep.
Because he was like, okay, something's
up here.
Yeah, wrong here.
We also did a little bit of research, post all this happening. And I know that Rohypnol, which is, I guess, like the roofie drug, it's actually available in pharmacies in Mexico.
Yeah.
And all over the world, Rohypnol has been given a blue dye. So if it's in a drink and it's been put into your drink, it will turn blue.
Yep.
So you're able to see that, something's been spiked.
Yeah.
Apart from Mexico, where in Mexico, they have allowed it to not have the blue dye and it can be transparent.
Interesting.
So, fantastic.
Interesting.
So,
to be honest, I don't think it would have helped, because if I'd seen that, I would have just assumed it was like a blue drink.
It's got blue cacao or something like that. But anyways, so dirty toilet on the background. You just lift it off your head.
One more thing to add. This could be an embellishment of my own mind, but I'm pretty sure I remember Joey saying this. I remember him saying that he said to you, like, "Oh, Juan, don't stop drinking. Like, something's wrong here. Look at my eyes." And then Juan just looks at him, like, tips his drink
and just drink it.
Finishes the rest. Classic Juan.
Fantastic choice.
Even if it didn't happen, that happened.
Yeah. So you wake up, you lurch yourself back up. You back up and you go, "Oh damn."
Yeah.
What has happened?
So, thankfully, I've still got all. I've got my clothes on me, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Phone's gone, wallet is gone, and
second night in Cancun, second night in Mexico.
Yeah.
Wallet's gone, phone's gone.
The most interesting, I think, observation I realized afterwards was I wasn't worried. And that's one of those times where I think it was like, I really should have been worried about the
meditation
situation
paying off here.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think it's something to do with the drug that was in my system. I'm guessing it makes you have a don't give a shit attitude as well.
You're very drowsy.
This is happening. Fuck it. So I wake up. Thankfully, I had been practicing my Spanish, so my Spanish was not conversational, but enough to ask and communicate what I want to communicate, even if it's in a very weird fashion. So I asked some of the people around me, I'm like, what happened, where like, what are we doing here? Yeah. And they were all pretty friendly, to be honest. Like, they were cool guys. Like, I could see a couple of them had like a little bit of busted faces. Some of them were just
like a bit of fighting,
disheveled and stuff. And what I figured out from them is like this was the tourist jail. So what they do is, if you're in some sort of altercation, if you're doing something wrong, there's like a set of procedures that the police can take you in for.
Yeah.
And they put you in this cell. So I was in there, and there was a American guy there as well who I learned from him had been with his wife and his sister.
Yeah.
And his wife and sister had a big fight together. And from that fight in the street that they were having, they grabbed them all and put them all. So there was like a guy cell and a girl cell as well, which I believe was right next to it. Because he was standing by the bars communicating with his wife. I think he was communicating with his wife. And he told me, like, because he'd been there before in Cancun, because his wife was Mexican, I'm guessing, or at least Central American, so they knew that area. He told me, like, so there's the general procedure, like, they'll take you in, to get out, you're going to have to pay the fee, and that was, like, end of story.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, shit. Eventually, he gets taken in, so a guard unlocks a cell door, he gets taken out, and I'm still just with all my other Mexican buddies in there. And then he comes back a bit later and was just saying, like, oh yeah, this is what happened, like, we have to pay the money, like, and he was talking to his wife. It's like, we have to pay the money, so we have to get out of here, because they had a flight that afternoon or something like that. I get called in next, and I go in there, and it's just a detective at a desk like this, got a bunch of stuff in front of him, and I think he has rudimentary English, but we communicated in Spanish because my Spanish is better than his English.
Yep.
So I asked him, like, so what am I in for? Here for? Like, why am I here? And he pulls out, pulls out like a scrapbook. It looks like something a kid has made. It's got one of those like
a binder.
It's like a binder, but it's all broken and stuff. And it's written in like the most ugly formatting I've ever seen. And it's just like dot points, like number 1, number 2, number 3. And he flicks to like number 32, and in this broken ass English it says, like, if you were sleeping in the street, you can be taken in by the police or something.
Yeah. So essentially, you got done for sleeping on the floor.
I'm guessing that's what happened. Yeah. So I must have just been like so messed up, so out of it, that they saw me like slumped on, sleeping on the street or doing something, and they're like, no, we'll take this guy in. And
so to give people some insight as well on that, so essentially we doing a bit of research afterwards. It's a little bit of a racket in terms of what happens in Cancun. So either you will get, people will try and, roofie you in that regard, and what'll try to happen is people will try to get you you got the best bit. The worst one is if you go, normally what happens is you go outside the club, you're very disorientated, and then a group of people will try and grab you, kind of throw you into a bush or like rough you up, and then grab all your stuff and leave.
Yeah.
But also because a lot of the cartel and a lot of the gangs there work with the police, you can also, essentially they do that in the club, which ultimately means you go outside and you lay down because you're really disorientated, and then they can pick you up and take you to, tourist jail, where they take your money and they take your cash and everything else. So it is that racket that people have to really be aware of.
Yeah, so. And so from what I gained from this as well is I learned afterwards, like, a lot of the cartels own hotels in that area,
and the actual Cancun clubs.
Yeah, so they want the tourists there because that's like they're getting money and income from that. But Mexico is just so corrupt as well. You're gonna have like the small scale people wanting to do stuff.
Yeah,
like they see quick opportunity for cash as well. So there's this weird balance between where it's like you can do things up to a certain extent, like steal from a tourist, maybe rough them up. But if you kidnap them, if you like murder them or anything like that, then that's bad for business for the cartels, and so you're gonna have the cartels on your ass if you're just some like random guy in the street who does something dumb.
So fast forward a little bit, just to get it for people. Yep. How did you escape jail? How did you get out of here?
So I talked to him. I learned what my situation was, and he has my wallet there, and that has my card money is gone from it, even including my padlock key, which I was pretty pissed off. I was like, "You took the padlock." Making me angry. Thankfully, I had a backup one, so lucky. I was able to get into my bags later. And essentially, I find out like he's got like my ID and debit card and things like that. And he says, "Look, you have to pay. I believe it was 2,500 pesos.
Yep.
Which in our equivalent at the time, I think it was $800,
$700.
No, it wasn't that much. I think it was closer to like 300, 400. Okay. Looking back now, that amount of money for me is like nothing. Whatever, but after traveling for 3 months in South America, that's like, god damn, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. If you think about it, the phone was worth more than that, realistically.
Yeah. Well, actually, half that, because I've got like a cheaper phone for this exact situation. So the phone was gone. I'm 95% sure that it was the police who actually took it from me, because they were the ones going through my pockets and stuff. And when I asked him, like, what, even the key, like, they took the key, and he's like, oh, it's Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, yeah.
And so he tells me, like, yep, you have to pay 2,500. And so I'm outraged and disgusted by this. And so I'm like, okay, what if I don't? And then their procedure is you stay in the cell for 36 hours.
Yeah. No water, no food?
So you do get water. I'm not sure about food.
Okay.
Not sure about food. It was a boiling hot cell, and it was one of those classic things where it's like it had rained maybe a little bit the night before or something.
So it was humid, and
it was humid, and the roof was like slightly tilted, so there's just like this raindrop dropping down like on the pavement outside for hours on end. Classic
water drop torture on you. You're like, no, I'm not getting out of here.
I think they did bring us some water at one point, but I'm wondering if that was just because the gringos like me and this other dude were in there. All the other people in there were pulled up for fighting on the street, pissing on the street, things like that.
Yep.
And the thing with them is they don't have the money, so they're all going to stay in there for 36 hours and then get out.
Yep.
And so when he told that to me, I was just like, okay, fuck it, I'm going back in. So I went back in. So it was about like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. when I woke up, talked to him an hour later. So I went back in, and then I just fell asleep on the
bench again.
On the bench again.
Yep.
It was actually nice. Like the first time I was fully extended out because I think like I was so messed up. But this time
you were more...
Well, they knew me a bit better, so they like made me like... Not made me, but I crunched up into like a ball on the seat, which was super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Managed to get to sleep for 4 or 5 hours maybe. So starting to get into the early afternoon.
Yep.
And this is where... kids at home, listen here, this is why you should have social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I went into him initially, he let me use his phone because I was like, can I contact my friends? Like they can help me out. They might have money and stuff like this. What I really just wanted was you to come because you spoke Spanish like fluently, so you could maybe get a bit more of an idea of the
discussion of what was going on.
And potentially like help things out. I didn't have Facebook. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have Twitter. I didn't have anything.
No social media way to contact us.
So I couldn't do anything with those. I just about knew so I had 2 email accounts. One of them I couldn't log on to because I forgot the password. So I had this other email account, but this was a new account. So I didn't have anyone save details in there.
Yep.
So I had to guess your email, and I thought it was juan.granados@gmail.com.
Wrong.
Wrong. So... that email went into the nether space.
Into the abyss.
There was a random dude I'd met while traveling, so I emailed him and I was like,
Please contact
Juan Pablo Granados or Joseph Gillen, like I'm in this situation. And the only other one I knew, I knew my dad's, but I didn't want to tell him because I didn't want to freak him out.
Yeah.
So I told my brother instead. I sent him a message like, can you please contact Juan or Joe? Yep. And then I just had to leave it at that. I had no other ways
to contact any more people.
I you guys didn't bring your your phones internationally.
Yep.
All my contacts were gone. I didn't know had nothing else that I could rely on. So have social media.
Social media
is the lesson from that.
But let's move forward. So how did you end up getting out?
Go back in, and then I went back. I slept a little bit, and I was like, okay, I can't stay in here 36 hours. My friends are only here for 3 weeks.
Yep.
If it was just me, potentially I could do this. But, they're here. I don't want to take up their time. I don't want to take up, spending time with them. So I'm just going to go back in and pay the thing.
Yep.
So I talked to the guard and was like, I want to go back in and speak to the detective. So I went back in, and there was like a little bit of preamble, and then before I say like, okay, I want to go out. And so what they do is they let you go out with your debit card to a like a bank or something
to try and get money, but they keep your ID.
Yeah, but they keep your ID, and then I think the implicit threat is if you do that and you don't pay and you just run off, they'll keep your ID and potentially put it on like a no-fly list or something like this.
Yeah, okay.
I doubt that happens because their bureaucracy is so poor that But that's a risk you'd have to be willing to take as well. So before I could say like, okay, I want to go out and do it, like just as I'm about to, he's like, so how much can you pay? And then it's like,
here's the bartering coming in.
Negotiation. So I was like, and I had enough money that I paid whatever.
Pay that, yeah.
But I was like, I could maybe get like 1,200, 1,300 pesos. So that's like half.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. One thing that scared me about that was as I was walking in, a girl, and I sort of walked in, and there was another girl speaking to him beforehand, and she was pleading with him, like, please, like, we gave you our money. What more do you... What more do you want? He's just like, oh, sorry, like I can't. There's like the forms and the we need a little bit more. So he was basically extorting this girl for more money. And as I was doing this, I was like worried. Crap! I'm gonna go out there, get money,
and then they're gonna ask me for more.
And then he's gonna ask for more. But whatnot? I went onto the street. Somehow I got another person's phone. Like there was another tourist walking around.
And then you're like, can you please message?
So I basically had to tell him all of that story condensed into like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Because they expect you back in like 10, 15 minutes. So I was like, blah, blah, blah. Like, can I have your phone? And I think I tried to find another. I went onto his Facebook to contact you. So I think I sent a message through that. Or no, I tried to, but I couldn't find you.
Yeah, you couldn't find so many ones.
And Joey, I don't know, I just couldn't find him as well. Got the money, went back in. It was $140, $150, something like nothing. Get back in, and thankfully he accepted it.
Yep.
I slipped 50 pesos out of that to keep for myself for the bus ride back to...
Smart thinking, yep.
Yeah, and... so glad I did that.
And so let me return back to my story now. So, we're essentially an our side of the world. Joey's gone out. He's riding around on his skateboard, kind of looking. We're like, what's happening? Where is he? It's getting into the afternoon now.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, what are we going to do here? And all of a sudden, all I see is kind of walking through the door, just kind of like...
Bam, kicks down the door. What's going on?
What's going on, guys? And we're like, oh my God. So, that is the story of... being in a Mexican jail, in Cancun jail, tourist jail.
Yeah, a couple of things from that. I'm so happy that you guys were safe as well, because I was like, geez, if this happened to me, what happened to them?
Yeah. So luckily, to finish the story, for me, apparently, because obviously I don't have a recollection of this, I managed to also try to get out. I was trying to head home.
Yeah.
Joey followed me. He wasn't too sure where you'd had gone.
Yeah.
So he just followed me. Apparently, I just walked around 2 kilometers around the area. He managed to throw me into a taxi and get me home. So lucky that he managed to do that.
Yeah.
Especially if I was in not in a good state. I don't know how he even managed to drag me.
Impressive achievement for him, because I don't even see him managing to do that sober on a normal
let alone me just absolutely off my chops.
Yeah.
So
and him half.
So essentially, that got us into a point where we went, you know what? We are leaving Cancun. We're not staying here any more extra days. So we ended up going down to Playa del Carmen, which was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I'm saying to people, if you go to Mexico, go to Playa del Carmen first. Maybe experience Cancun for a day or two.
Yeah.
Go down to Playa del Carmen though.
Even then, I'm going to put this out. neither of those places is like the real Mexican experience.
No, they're very touristy.
The tourist experience of Mexico.
Yeah.
But of the two, Playa del Carmen.
So now that we've gone past a couple of those things, those other 3 weeks, I think we just touch on a couple of highlights. I think just to kind of like round that off.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you got a couple of highlights there?
Yeah, definitely. For me, in that area, like we mentioned, the tourist part of those two areas is hectic because you're walking around. They see your white skin. They see. I think they could even tell you like that
we're
you were
still a foreigner. Yeah.
And they just latch onto you. So you'll be walking around, some guys just grabbing you, is like, hey man, like I've got this cool stuff, and they'll have decent English.
Yeah.
But they're trying to sell you stuff. You're a walking dollar sign. Particularly in Playa del Carmen, because that's where it's just got this one main huge street.
Yeah, essentially, if you picture it, it's parallel to the beach. It's like a 5 kilometer stretch of road that's purely just a walking, and it is just shops all the way.
Every single like. It's either a restaurant, souvenir shop, tequila shop, a shop selling like boat tours and things like that.
Restaurants. Yeah. There's a lot of shops. A couple of bars
as well. Yeah. And you're going to get targeted, and especially if you're like young and male, they're going to be like, hey,
they're going to be onto you.
You want some drugs?
Well, essentially, they've got a progression. They
do have the progression.
Would you like to take a boat to what was the island? Cozumel.
Cozumel.
Would you like to take a boat to the island of Cozumel? Then they'll step it up. Would you like some tequila? Then they'll step it up again. They'll go, oh, do you want some girls?
Yeah.
And then they'll go full Monty.
Yeah.
Would you like some drugs?
Yeah.
They will do that though, even to family members. I saw it to families.
Yeah.
What I think people have to watch out for as well is that they do that alongside the cops as well. So that's how they kind of work. We saw specifically someone go either get something from them and then they follow it up by telling them to the cops, and the cops actually grab them. So it is just a full circle of how they actually interact there. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna experience that if you're in the main cities of those two areas. If you go to the islands, it's a bit of a different story because the islands they're I suppose less dense, and it's a bit more of like you're there to like see the beaches. Some stunning beaches. You've got a couple of amazing photos.
Well, I was just going to say, like, Cozumel was really great, but one of the islands, and this is close to Cancun, Isla Mujeres, Island of Women. That was an amazing place to go. It has the best beach I've ever been to in my life. That hands down. Super hot that day though. Oh, you were about to melt under the sun.
I think I dipped into the water because I was like, even with the sunscreen on, it was just burning. I'm gonna die.
I remember just playing some frisbee on that beach. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
We also drove on golf buggies. On that island.
Was that Isla Mujeres?
Isla Mujeres. It was. And we had it's one of the highlights for me because we were driving around in golf buggies with a couple of beers. Making our own radio. Sort of singing to music and just driving around.
So we're just making karaoke songs. So like one person would start singing a song and the other two would join in.
Other couple of notes as well. I'd recommend people, if they go to Playa del Carmen, go to La Vaquita, which is a nightclub. We went to that nightclub quite a few times, like 5 or 6 times. They're really friendly Mexican individuals. Mexican people are really friendly, and we made lots of friends there in terms of all the security guards. To the point that the 5th or 6th night we were there, they use laser lights to kind of like point out to people or tell security guards like, oh, you got to look at that guy, you got to go check in with this guy. Because it is loud. That's how they point. We got to a point where when we walked in, they first of all came and shook our hands. They were like, welcome back. They would give us our own lasers. That here's a laser. And we would play laser tag in the club at the same time. I just remember us diving and rolling in this nightclub.
Super
dancing
fun.
Around. Oh, great times.
Super fun.
The nachos at the beachfront place. I think it's Zanga or Sarah.
How does that?
Yeah, how does that? Zara something. Awesome. I think we had nachos there 4 times. That was also a bit of a highlight for me.
I think the real nice thing about that was it was a restaurant backing onto the beach, but they went the extra step of putting tables and chairs on the actual beach, so you can be like, there with the sand in your feet, literally 5 meters away from the water, eating food and having drinks. Super, super nice.
So overall, look, what I'd say is, I think the 3 weeks that we had, there was a lot of experiences there, but I think the 3 months that you had, I think you experienced a real Mexico, and I actually had like an overall better time of exploring Mexico than we did. Ours was much more touristy.
Yeah.
If you after that tourism market experience, maybe that sort of thing, and the party. But even then, it didn't sound like it was as good as your 3-month experience.
Well, I mean, it's different because I guess the emphasis on us when we went there was like each other's company and exploring it and seeing what there was to see. So, not even exploring per se. We were there to have fun. Yeah. Like, we were there to drink, go out, see girls and stuff, have fun.
Yeah.
And whereas when I was going, I was more, getting into the backpacker mindset, traveling on your own, seeing, beautiful, like staying a couple of days in a place and just enjoying the scenery.
Yeah, just enjoying being there.
Going somewhere, like we purposefully stayed in like more, like even just the small choices we made. The restaurants we went to were more like standardized, nothing too crazy, like authentic Mexican food. It was Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
The bars we went to, they're not like the classic Mexican bar, which would be like a room that sort of looks like, I would compare it to like whatever you have in your mind when I say like a bingo parlor of old people.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, but everyone's there is like just sitting at tables, drinking, having some like food and stuff.
Okay. Interesting.
That's like what a proper, I guess, Mexican bar is would be like, or a drinking establishment. Yeah. So we were there to focus on like the aspects that we enjoyed, enjoying each other's company, doing like crazy stuff, shooting playing laser tag in a street, and just being silly.
Yeah, I think overall I would actually say Mexico and Cancun and Playa del Carmen as a party area. I don't think I'd recommend it. I wouldn't genuinely recommend it. And when we came back, I sort of said to people, there is the Island of Women, great place.
Yeah.
There is a couple of places that I would say are really good.
Yeah.
But the overall experience, I think you can find better across the world.
Yeah, like if you're going somewhere purely to party, I would also agree. There's
but
better places.
In that 3-month sort of journey that you saw, I think because it is so untouched and there is places that not many people go to, like Mushroom Mountain.
Yeah. There's
probably only a handful of places in the world that are like that. And those are experiences that would be, yes, you'd want to do this.
Yeah.
So
and that's touching back on what I mentioned earlier. I think the reason why there are some really untouched places is one, the corruption and like I suppose the danger, both that's realistically perceived, as in what we experience, and the unrealistic, which is like the cartels are going to murder you as soon as you get there. Yeah. That's only going to happen if you're doing stupid things, you're in a place where you shouldn't be. Yeah. Or you're incredibly unlucky.
And that happens across the world as well, right? That's not just Mexico. Exactly. That can happen in other places in the world. Happens everywhere. But you got to be aware of that.
So that combined with like, I guess the size of the place, just makes it like hard for people to get to unless you're really willing to commit to some long bus rides, some going to some weird places which aren't the best.
Yeah, to get to some of those good places. Yeah.
And that draws in those like, I guess, adventure speakers or maybe those unique personalities where it's like, I would say the reason I found the other travelers there interesting was probably because their sort of like risk profile was a bit more on the crazier side than
the generalistic side. Yeah, okay.
General population. So
fair.
That was another thing.
Good.
Couple of questions.
Questions. Hit me up.
Did you have a funniest moment or a funnest moment in?
Look, funnest moment was our golf buggy riding with a couple of beers. We were almost like screaming these songs as we were driving at almost full speed on golf buggies with beers. That was amazing. And paired up, we had a moment where you're not allowed to have more than 4 people on a golf buggy. We saw a group of people who were walking. They were trying to walk essentially like a 3-kilometer hike to the next city area. And we just said, look, guys, do you want to just jump on board? And we just had this golf buggy packed. Like 7 people on this golf buggy at full speed with beers. And it was just like insanity, but such a good time. I thought that was brilliant. I absolutely loved that. Close second was definitely, though, the having a Corona just on the beach and just sitting there. We thought, man, this is
like, holy shit, I'm in Mexico.
Yeah, that was a Mexican feel. I was like, this is good. This is Mexico. This is nice. Nice. That was mine.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'd agree with those two. Probably, I suppose, like one of the real highlights was even just the fun we had with ourselves. Like we were in just an Airbnb room. We'd maybe wake up at like 9, 10 a.m. if we were lucky.
Yeah.
And we'd start drinking, and so we'd start making like some cocktails, start making some pina coladas.
Oh, you make some killer pina coladas. I've got to say that.
Sugar is the key.
Sugar is the key. Yeah.
And we'd put on our like going out song, which was Tigger Taste, and and oh man, it was just so much fun. Like every time I hear that song,
I think about it straight away. Yeah. Anytime I ever hear it.
A couple of others as well. We developed like a little bit of a list.
T-Pain Up Down. Yeah. There's a couple of songs now. Whenever I hear them, Mexico.
Other Side by Red Hot Chili Peppers. We played that a bit. Mm-hmm. On My Way or By the Way by Khalid.
Yep.
As well.
On My Way. Yep. Those sort of things. Yeah.
Stuck in the memory. So that's really cool because you can go back to that
specific moment.
Did you have a personal dislike? Anything that really bothered you? I suppose culture-wise or whatnot. For me, yes, you get approached by the people on the street, and it can be overwhelming if you're walking down like this kilometer street, and you just get approached mercilessly. They are one after the another, bam, 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 bam.
Yep.
What I disliked the most was when they would try to sell you the drugs, they made it like intentionally seedy. So sort of slink up next to you, like not directly looking in the eyes and be like, "Hey, bro, you want some weed? You want some coke?"
Yeah.
But it was just the way they did it made me feel seedy by association.
Yeah, like even already they were approaching you and you were kind of like, "Oh, that's enough."
Yeah, yeah. So that was probably my personal dislike of that. The other one, not particularly a dislike, but from our Airbnb to like the main area, we had like a section that we walked, and there was this one particular pothole which was the biggest one I've ever seen. It was a man-sized pothole, and every time we walked around it, out would go the shout, "Hole, hole!" That was a lot of fun.
I disliked Cancun's main city. It was just nothing. I expected so much more from that area. Just disliked that.
The transport's poor. It's out of the way. Large distances between, even in that area, large distances between the bars and
like the infrastructure is just not great.
Yeah.
Not good.
Best haircut. Who got the best haircut there?
We got a couple of good haircuts actually. When we were down in Playa del Carmen, I've actually got to say Joey probably got the best haircut. Mine was pretty clean, but Joey took the cake on that one for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, the
nice haircut.
Mexicans have the best hair I've ever seen.
Yeah, they keep it sharp.
I saw maybe like, realistically, I probably saw 100, but I can only remember like seeing 10 bald guys. In my entire trip there. Yeah. Like their
full heads of hair.
Full heads of hair, and they keep it sharp. Like they just, so many barbers. They everywhere.
They have barbers everywhere.
Any regrets of things that you did or didn't do?
I regret that I didn't go to a cenote.
Yeah.
That was 100%. I regret that I didn't do that because you obviously talking about it and it sounds like it was an amazing place.
Went to some, took some photos, and it was like, that would have been
a great thing to go together with.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we didn't go was it would have taken probably, an hour and a half to travel somewhere with one, then go back. So it would have been like a good half a day, full day doing that.
But it sounds like it was worth it.
And we were still in party mode, so it was like, the only reason we didn't go out and party was because we would be, like, hit a point where it's like, okay, no, like today we'll have a pina colada at 2 p.m. instead of 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yeah.
And so we'd go out to the island, but then we'd just start drinking there anyway.
Did you have any regrets?
No, not particularly. I suppose, for me, I got to do all the stuff I wanted to do, particularly afterwards. It would have been great to maybe see a couple of more of those things with you. Yep. But, then it's like we would have taken away from other things that we did. So no, not there. Airbnb or no Airbnb?
Airbnb. I think places that we got, both of them were really good. Those places were great. Yeah. The hostel that we got in Playa del Carmen there was just amazing. That was great. If anything, that was a really good thing. Yeah. That Airbnb in the main street was great.
I think for what we were doing, if we'd stayed in hostels more, that would have been better.
Yeah. But Airbnb or hostels, I think
you can't make your own pina coladas unless they have a blender in there. So it was nice to be able to wake up and sort of just have your own personal space and whatnot. And last one would be, so if you were going to go back there, how long would you do it for, and what would you do?
Well, now that we talk about it, I definitely would go and do a little bit. Maybe not 3 months.
Yeah.
But I would enjoy going maybe to Mexico City, experiencing what that would be like. Going through probably like Mushroom Mountain, just to go there, see the sights, go to a couple of those places that you sort of mentioned across the sort of that northern sort of tip point. Experiencing that. The only other time I would potentially go back would be at spring break, just to see what it would be like. But really, there's other places in the world that I probably want to go first before going to that sort of scene. So
I think you're probably tipping the age range of what you would do if you went back there as well. I know you still like to party and go out and have fun, but there's a very big difference between 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds partying. Yeah. And
well, I can't actually remember if Mexico was 18-year-olds or if it was 21 like the US. I think it actually was still 21.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, well, they would still get college kids there and 100%. They would drink, so. Yeah. Andrea went there, she was 16, 17, and they were all drinking. Yeah.
That's Mexico.
Yeah, for me, I would try and see the northern bit a bit more.
Okay. Yeah, well, obviously you didn't get to see that point of it.
It would be hard because I would definitely love to go back to some of these places I mentioned. Like they've had a huge impact on me, and I could still like vividly recall
a lot of those
what
things.
I was feeling, what I experienced there. But then I'd run that risk of trying to relive the past and bring back that and potentially be disappointed
because you're like kind of redoing it. It's not as good as the first time.
Yeah, it wasn't. That was a real, I suppose, special moment of my trip for me, and trying to recreate that probably wouldn't be as great.
Excellent. That was very good. Yeah, that was a bit of a longer one. So 3 weeks versus 3 months. I think summary there is 3 months probably better than 3 weeks. Really going through the other portions of it. Wouldn't recommend it again to go to that party area, but make your own decisions, make your own thoughts from what we just talked about. As well.
Exactly. Each to their own. If you're looking for more the scenery type of stuff, go inland. If you want to party, maybe stick on the outside or even Mexico City because there's some real cool places in there.
Yeah. But just be aware. It's Mexico.
Yeah, just got to keep your eyes open. Yeah. Be aware of the cops. That's one highlight. Like, don't assume that they're going to be the ones to help you.
Don't assume safety a lot of the times. Yeah.
Very good. I could talk about Mexico for ages.
There's a lot of things already that I know that we miss. So I'm like, we'll wrap it up there. And if people want to hear more about it, let us know. Give us a comment. Part 2. Let us know. If you have specific things that you want to ask about, ask us. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I believe. But I think you've got a personal one.
Can you message on
there? Can you message on them? Email,
mereimmortalsinfo@gmail.com.
Hit us up.
Good.
But now, our usual fitness challenge finale. So,
challenge. Nice.
I will let you go finale. First. I'll let you go. Oh no, it's not finale. Sorry, it's just to finish.
Get this out of here. I don't want to see that 20.
Oh gosh, this guy's just going up every week.
What is it going to be? It's going to be a 3.
Oh, 23 points. Where'd you go?
And a 3-pointer. I got a 3-pointer.
Nice.
And I was obfuscating a little bit today because we were comparing some run times.
We were, and you didn't show me all of them.
I didn't show you the top one.
Yeah.
I skipped that each time on purpose because I got bang on 3:15.
Nice. Well done.
So, that was a really good run.
Yeah.
And like I was mentioning before, I was having a bit of trouble measuring it, like the exact distance.
Yep.
So I downloaded a couple of different apps, like used it via sort of like Google, trying to measure exactly how it was. And this run I ended pretty much exactly where I thought 1K was.
Yep.
Hit it bang on 3:15. The actual runtime was quicker because it was like I was running a 3:12 pace or something.
Yep.
It was
very good. Dang, that's
very
massively off the numbers you earned before.
Yep.
So in a similar vein, we're up to the 18 now.
Nice, good.
So very similarly, literally got back into a running. Did the first kilometer run timed in like a couple of months, and just went through those 2 points. Got the 3:45 very easily, and the 3:30, just under 3:30. Essentially, it was a 3:29 sort of pace.
So did you you skipped the first one entirely, basically? I
just went straight into under 3:30.
Nice.
So that was good off the first run ever, of a 1 kilometer timed, essentially in a couple of months.
I'm so surprised you did that, because my first runs were shocking. Yeah. I was getting like 4 minutes.
I thought it was going to actually take me a lot longer than that. I just all of a sudden, what happened was I was sort of running at the very start, and I thought I was jogging at a good pace.
Yeah.
And it sort of tells you real time with this new Garmin what my pace was, and I was actually running a 3:10 pace at the very start, and I was like, I probably should slow this down. I'm going pretty quickly. So when I actually checked the stats, I did like sort of drop the heart rate a little bit and then kept it quite consistent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it seemed...
Did you break into like a full sprint at the end trying to get that last
Yeah,
bit?
the very end. But that was a little bit like, just like the row, I was like, oh, I'm pretty wrecked here. I can't like full out sprint.
Yeah.
I could see me doing it another proper go. Perhaps a 3-pointer will come soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. It was a good way to...
I was so impressed when you did that, especially doing it on your dodgy knee.
Yeah, and it was like, my knee's still quite dodgy. And I remember the first step, I literally stepped on that run and it was just like, I could feel the push on the liquid on the knee and I was like, dang, let's see how this goes. But there we have it. 18:23.
Maybe your next mere mortal moment will be like pushing beyond the mere mortal moment.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be doing this from hospital.
Yeah, to get the to catch up. Yeah. Even with that, you'd only be on 21.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need to do more things. I don't know where I'm going to find them. I think the handstands and the pull-ups. I need to get back into this pull-ups. So
I reckon you can get those, man.
We'll go. We'll see how it comes. Anyways, very good. Long podcast here. Good. Again, for people, if you're liking it, if you're enjoying it, subscribe to it. If you're watching it on YouTube and you don't look like our mugs, dislike it or like it or comment or do anything with it. Find us on Facebook. If you start commenting as well, Kyrin will probably reply. That's the craziest thing. Whoa. So use his social media. He's learned from his mistake of he's learned
putting words in my mouth.
He learned from his mistake of not having social media in Mexico, so he's got a little bit of safety in there now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got some pretty big things as well in 2020. Hopefully, they're coming along to start the new decade in a strong way.
Definitely want to do some more book reviews. You were talking about doing like expanding the reviews into more
into generalistic sort of things.
Yeah, we'll see how maybe documentaries, movies, stuff like that.
Yeah, so big things to come. We'll see how it goes. Apart from that, that's all from me. One out.
Kyrin out.